my bachelor's was so that I wasn't a statistic, so that I wasn't a 16-year-old pregnant Spanish girl who like had a baby at 6. Like I didn't want that. So I proved that as a Latina, I was able to go to college and graduate with a bachelor's. And my master's was because I wanted something in my field. I didn't graduate from FAM with a bachelor's in education. I graduated with health science. I thought I was going to be an occupational therapist. God saw differently. So my master's was like, you're going to do it in education. So my master's is for my career, but this PhD is for every other Latina or black girl who looks up at me when I'm a principal or when I get my own school, and they're like, she did it, I can do it too. She has a doctorate. She has Dr. Sederi Fleet Mobley in front of her name. I can do it too. So that's what, for me, like, I don't care if I'm in debt for the rest of my life. I have a doctorate in front of my name.
Yeah, and I be saying that too all the time. Like, people are like, but why you gonna feel doctor? I said, listen, one day I want to own a professional football team, and you see it all the time. Like, you don't really. It's not a black owner. Okay, you got Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan is like 1 in a million. He's a billionaire, you know. But for someone like me, even if I had the money, they gonna look at me as like who are you and stuff. Like, I told myself and everybody around me, I said, you ain't gotta get no doctorate, but if you want something that's from anybody's eyes, white people, whoever, that's impossible, go the extra mile, you know. And I was like, you know, I want to get to a point where 20, 25 years from now, when I reach that goal, when I'm in front of the, you know, you got to get voted in, especially like in the NFL, well, in all leagues, you got to get voted in. But when they look at my resume, they're like, damn, this man got, okay, he got the businesses and stuff, you know, he got that, but damn, this man got the degrees and stuff, he got the, you know, so it's going to be like, I'm here, I'm not trying to play around, and y'all gonna feel my energy, you know, so it's all about, like, the want to, so, like, that's why I tell these kids, it's like, you ain't gotta get a doctorate, but let's say you want to be an astronaut or whatnot, you want to be a doctor, or you want to be an entrepreneur, you gotta make the sacrifices. You want to be athlete, you gotta make the sacrifices.
And it doesn't even have to go, you don't have to go to college. If you do a trade school, then do your trade school, but be great at what you do. Even if that means one day, don't just like, if you're gonna do nails, like I have a friend who does my nails. They're not done now, but my friend, she's her and her friend, they're both 21-year-old. Her brother had a car accident, and he got money from it, and her brother was like, here, invest in your own nail salon. And I was like, you were a nail tech, you went to school, you studied for nail tech, and now you've decided to open your own business. You didn't have to go to college. If you want to, like, and learn more about business, you can get that bachelorate. Even Jamil is, you don't have to go to firefighter, you don't have to go to college, you don't have to go to 4 years. Sorry, that was the rice. You don't have to go to a 4-year, you can leave it, we'll get it. You don't have to go to a 4-year college to get a degree, but Jamil is not okay with just being a black firefighter. No, I'm going to be a black lieutenant. I'm going to be someone that you look up to. And that's the consistent thing that I'm consistently fighting for, is like, I want to be a role model for someone to look up to, especially in my community.
Right. And it's not just real quick, it's also something that they can never take from you.
Yeah.
Right? They can't take the education from you once that's in your head. That's in your head, right? Even if you can never pay them loans, you got it.
Right.
and I remind her and my best friend Jamil all the time, like, the way y'all position, y'all technically going to be in politics, so we need more of us in politics. You may say no now, but they gonna people. No,
but I did come to that. I told them I came to that realization
because that's important too. Politics.
Like, everything that I've wanted to do eventually. Because someone asked me one time, like, "Would you ever be superintendent of a school district?" I was like, "I don't want that."
Like, okay, because I know some people that, you know, I mean, well, that's the work that I want to do. That's my passion, is to get more of our people involved in political office. So I know people looking for school board members.
Because I feel, like, look at the past year. Like, for me, I like, man, it's beautiful. It's more women, more women from like different like cultures, especially more black people in general in the office and stuff. I'm like, that's what it is. Like, it's a change.
It's not enough, but it's some.
Right.
But it's a it's a progression. Like you gotta like one baby steps. But like, I'm like, man, by the time I'm like 50 years old, I want to at least 80%, 85%. You can't be greedy. You know what I'm saying?
The whole thing.
Maybe you may have a couple of people that they may be another race, but they fuck with us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
it's just, but it's beautiful, man. Like,
right.
But yeah, they kept asking me like, do you want to be superintendent? And I was like, no, I don't want that, because I really I want to work with my kids. That's my passion. But then I'm realizing that if I really want to evoke the change that I want for my kids, and I need to advocate for my kids, then I got to take that seat.
Start now. I think the life that I want to live is one that gives our parents and our potential kids more available headspace. Like, I feel like I think about that so much, just like the freedom in whiteness. Like, their kids, like, even like you asked earlier about worrying about him, and I said to him one day, I said, I don't think you realize like how much of my headspace is taken up worrying about you in the world. Like, like to a certain point, it's like, if I know you're supposed to be home at a certain time, I'm calling you, your phone's going dead. Like, I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God. Things like that. I'm like, you don't realize like how much of my headspace is just like, just wrapped up in, is today going to be the last day? Do I got to get ready to mobilize people for you tomorrow? Like, are you next? Because every single person, every other family that we've ever met with is always like, never thought it'd be me. Never thought it'd be me. So who am I to think that it could be anything different? I can hope for different. But I want to create a world where my dad is not worried about stuff, where his dad's not worried about stuff. Like, his dad got a bad back. Like, I want him to not have to worry about stuff. Any kids that we have, like, I want them to not have to have loans looming over their head for the rest of their life, where they can fuck up their credit and then recover and then know how important it is, and all these different things that we can provide for them to be their most full and creative selves in a world that's going to tell them like they have to be different. So how can we provide them those opportunities? Like, if they want to go to a dance camp, or if they want to go to, like, to be able to be... I see white kids that start ballet at like 2 years old, like before they could even really remember the steps, and they out here twirling and stuff. And I'm like, if our kids had the opportunity to like groom and be great from like 2 to whatever, like how many more black ballerinas there could be? How many more like these white kids that's out playing tennis at like 2 years old? Like how many more black tennis players we could have? All these things, if they weren't so worried about what they're going to eat, what school they're going to go to, how they're going to get there, someone to help them do their homework. How many more black teachers, doctors, right? How many more black medical that care about them, black therapists, like black firefighter, all these different things. If they just had more headspace to be free and explore and all these different things, and be like, okay, tried that career on, didn't fit. So I want to get into this other one, instead of just being like, this is a job, I need a job, so I'm going to just be good at this one job. I don't even really like it, but I'm going to just do it.
But I feel like, even with myself, I says, like, the job may not be in my career, but I'm going to utilize it, learn more stuff, and also to save up for what I really want to do. So I feel like our generation, some of them get too comfortable where they at, and they like, the money's so good, I want to. But if you really have a passion about something, whether it's non-profit program, whether you're an activist, whether you want to be a business owner, whether you want to just continue your career, whether it's a teacher or firefighter, police officer, or whatever you want to do, you can't be too comfortable. You have to keep pushing. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing I want to push, because I see these kids, like last year I was working at a camp. Was it last year or the year before? But I was working at a camp, and the kids was like, they brothers, they black brothers, they like, it's like 3 of them, and they was like, Coach Mobley, we know how to code. I'm like, So what's up?
That's
like
really cool.
Start designing. He's like, start designing your own video game.
Yeah, like because they love the video games. They love. Like I'm like, why y'all not taking it more serious? They're like, I don't know. Like I just I'm like, man, listen. If I was like there with you 24/7, I would make sure that you use the coding because that's another another industry that we need more. More black people is the tech world. Like
black women because you don't have.
There's not a lot of black men.
There's not a lot of black men. And
that's why I said black.
More women are actually. Yeah. At one point, I forgot what it was that Bill Gates' wife was saying. She was like, at a point in the 2000s, the computer industry, the engineering and things, had the highest spike in female, like computer engineers, scientists, and everything. Like STEAM had like the highest, and then all of a sudden it just like flew, and it doesn't exist now. So it's like you want to like that. To me, like when one of my teacher friends, she was teaching Diana. We call her Tejada. We use her last name. She was teaching our kids at Holmes Elementary in Liberty City to do coding. Like she had an after-school coding program with the kids, and it was like the little girls were in there coding and creating their little video games and stuff. And they didn't realize what they were learning, but they were having so much fun learning it that one day when Miss Tejada actually told them, like, this is an actual like job opportunity. Right. Like this is something that you can do in the future. Like you can go to college and get a degree in this, and you can create video games for the rest of your life, or you can create a computer app, or you can create computers. And they were like in awe of it that they themselves couldn't believe it. And it's like, I was like what you were saying, like how do we create that for our kids? But I feel like we're lucky because we're starting now to build that ability to give our kids that. But how do we do it for the kids who aren't as lucky as us? Because as a teacher, I don't make much money, but I know that as a teacher, I'll have more resources to give my kids that my parents didn't have for me. But how do I provide those same resources for another black or brown kid who doesn't have that, who doesn't have a mom who's a teacher? Because my kids can do that. I can put my kids in ballet at 2 years old. Because I have a career, John has a career, we're both, functional individuals who can do it. But what happens to the little black or brown little girl who can't do that because mom can't afford it and she has to work 3 jobs instead of 1 job? Like, how do we go back to the community and help out?
But that goes back to what I was saying. Like,
let them answer the question.
Let me say it real quick though, because I love this. Like that goes back to what I was saying about like creating businesses. Like, you have a lot of people now that want, they're creating like programs now, or they want to create programs now. We need more of that in our communities.
Right. I think, one of my favorite things that we do, because there's only 2 of us, there's only so many hours in a day, we kind of like to sleep every so often, so one of the proudest things that I feel like we do is donate our money. And I feel like to me that like multiplies the impact. Because I think it's also realizing like we can't help everyone. We can't be there for everyone. We can't educate everyone. But if I know a program that is doing good work and I could give them $20 a month to do something, like take this $20, like take this $20, this $25, like take maybe even this $50, depending on when I can afford it. Like I will donate to you to multiply the impact of what your organization can do. So I know for me, that's one of the things that I really love. And I think going back to what you said about like, I feel like the education is so important. Someone said once like, you can't even imagine the possibilities of what you don't know exists.
Right.
Yep.
So it's like you can't even stretch your mind to begin to think about what's possible and what careers you have if no one even told you that was a thing. If no one even told you that like computer designing is coding that you're learning right now, you would have never made that connection. So even in the ways that we can't provide resources, like just talking through with youth, we did a training one time with youth where we asked them where were black people before they were slaves here, and they were just like, what? like had never even thought about it. And then he talked to them about like Mansa Musa, the richest man that ever lived, and they were like, we were.
Jeff Bezos.
So these kids